What's up everybody, my name is Brendan and this is BigBearB Creative. Welcome back everybody to another Friday landscape photography tutorial how-to video. Today, as you probably saw in the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about focus. And focus is one of the biggest things with photography, as obviously we need to be taking sharp photographs, otherwise there's a blurry mess, which sometimes does actually look a little interesting and kind of cool. But yeah, so today I'm going to be telling you basically step by step what you need to do to get perfect focus, tips for it, and all that kind of stuff. So let's jump in right to it. So the first thing when it comes to focus is how to focus and what settings should you use. As landscape photographers, I will always suggest that you guys learn and master how to use manual focus. And the reasoning is because with landscape photography, there are so many different ways that you can focus, different focal points that you need to go to. And when you use an autofocus, even though they have become very good in the past couple of years, or even a little bit more than the past couple of years, but they're very good ways to focus in a lot of more modern cameras. They're just not very accurate to a more higher percentage. So by that I mean, like with landscape photography, you might want to focus on a certain point in the background, not necessarily a certain thing. And with autofocus, sometimes it's going to go more based off of the whole thing rather than a certain point. So it's harder to get that perfect focus that you're actually looking for. So that's why I will always suggest how to manually, or not how to manually focus, but why you should use manual focus. And to help you out even more, I'm going to throw up a little B-roll scene here that's showing you how I actually shoot using manual focus in ways that you should and kind of the tips with it. So obviously the first thing you're going to do is set your camera up and get the rough composition that you're actually looking for. And then from there, you're actually going to zoom in as far as your lens will actually allow you to. And then from there, you're going to zoom in even more using the digital zoom that you can find sometimes on the back of your camera. It kind of just depends on what camera you use. As you see here, mine's on the back, so I'm going to zoom in as much as I can there to actually get the point that I want to focus on in focus. So I'll adjust that manual focus with that point, and then I'll zoom back out digitally, and then as well with the lens. Now you don't have to zoom all the way back out, just zoom back as much as you need. Just for example's sake, I zoomed all the way back out. And then from there, you're actually ready to take your photograph. But there's a couple other tips that I have for you before you actually take this photograph. So obviously with landscape photography, you're going to need to shoot on a tripod. Tripods are very important because it's going to actually help you get a properly focused image. Now, it doesn't exactly have to do with focus, but it has to do with sharpness. So if you're shooting handheld, or basically if you're just not on a tripod, there's a chance that you'll have motion blur. That when you take the photo, your hand's gonna shake, or during the exposure of it, your hand's gonna move, and it'll cause motion blur, which means your photo isn't gonna look like it's actually in focus because it's actually blurry. So you need to make sure that you're shooting on a tripod. Now, in addition to that, you're also going to want to make sure that you're shooting with a 2-second timer at least. So whenever your camera's set up on your tripod, all you have to do is just go into some settings and switch it on over to a 2-second timer. And then from there, click the shutter button. As soon as you release it, it's going to wait 2 seconds, and then it'll take that photograph. So now that you've done all those steps, you've zoomed in all the way that you can manually, zoomed in all the way you can digitally, got the perfect actual focus on the certain point that you're looking for, zoomed back out, got your composition set up, you switched on over to that 2-second timer while on your tripod, you're good to go. Now I know with photography, not every time can you use a tripod. So when it comes to things like wildlife photography, where you're taking a photo of an animal and it starts to fly, run, whatever it is that it does, you have to track it. You can't always do that using a tripod. You might be able to get away with a monopod, but still it's not always going to be the perfect solution to make sure you're getting a steady, more focused, not blurry shot. So there's a rule that you could use to make sure that you're getting a sharp or focused photograph. And that's what we call the shutter speed rule, which means that basically whatever your focal range is, or whatever you're shooting at, that has to be what your minimum shutter speed is. So let's say you're shooting on a 35mm prime. The lowest or slowest that you can shoot is 1/35 of a second. That's gonna be the lowest you can do. You have to either shoot that or quicker to make sure that you're not getting motion blur of that animal, trees, or whatever it is that you're trying to track. Make sure that it's all actually sharp. Now, of course, if you're shooting on a DSLR or any sort of camera that uses a crop sensor, that 35mm isn't actually going to be a 35mm because you're cropping that, so it's actually going to be a magnification of that 35. So for ease of math's sake, let's say you're shooting a 100mm and your crop sensor is a 1.5 magnification. You're actually shooting at about 150mm. So the minimum or slowest that you could actually shoot in terms of your shutter speed is going to be 1/150th of a second or quicker, to make sure you're actually getting that proper shutter speed to make sure you're actually getting a proper shutter speed to where everything is in focus, everything is crisp, clear, and not going to look blurry, because you don't want your photos to look blurry. Unless that's what you like to do as a photographer, then by all means go ahead and do it. I know there's some people that have really made that their staple of photography. I saw one video where every time a guy takes a photo, he's like doing this with the camera, but you still kind of get the, it's interesting. It's not necessarily my style, but if it's yours, by all means, go ahead and do it. You could also tag me in it. Let me see what you guys are doing there, because I love to talk about photography as well. So those are the steps that it is to actually get proper focus. You're going to use manual. You're going to zoom in as much as you can manually, and then also digitally, until you get to that certain point in your image that you want to focus on. Like I showed you with my plants right over here. Obviously I wasn't out in the field, but for example's sake, it worked perfectly fine. You're going to zoom in manually, zoom in digitally, get that focus point, zoom back out digitally, and then actually set your composition. And then from there, you'll go and make sure that you're shooting at a 2-second timer, make sure it's on a tripod, and you'll be all good to go to get that perfectly sharp image. So if you guys have any other questions about focus, if you're doing these steps and you're still not getting proper focus or anything like that, let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to help you guys out, or just talk about different ways you guys also go about setting your focus and getting perfect focus. And you could also, again, like I said, with the motion photography, you can tag me in your photos on any of the social media. They're always linked down below. I'll display them here for you. You guys can check it out over there. Send me things, we talk about things, check out my photos, all that kind of stuff. We just talk about photography. But also, before you guys leave, if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, make sure you guys are verifying that like button. It really goes a long way in actually telling me that you guys are enjoying these and to keep making more of these. And another great way to do that, because I know about 50% of you guys who watch these videos aren't, is to actually hit that subscribe button down below. Yeah, it really helps me out, lets me know that you guys are enjoying these, and it lets YouTube know that you guys are enjoying these, so it actually will send it to other people who enjoy this kind of content as well. And speaking of content, I'm doing the whole spiel here. Speaking of content, we do these things every week, so make sure you guys do subscribe. Fridays are always photography how-to tutorials, and then Sundays, as often as I can get them to you, it's kind of like a bonus video of the week. It's going to be photo editing videos, so if you guys enjoy watching those, again, make sure you guys are subscribing. And another way to also support me and also to support nature, because that's what we're taking photos of, is to check out my eco-conscious apparel. You can find that link down below at BigBearBCreative.com/eco-apparel. This is my favorite one. It's the Aztec Nature one. I hope that didn't mess up the mic too much, but this is my favorite one. There's a bunch of other ones you guys can check out. They all come on t-shirts, long sleeves, hoodies, and tote bags. And if you go with the long sleeves, hoodies, or tote bags, also a portion of your purchase actually is donated to eco-friendly nonprofits. So again, a great way to support nature, the thing that we all love taking photographs of. So thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys have a great day. Be safe during this time and go be creative.